Welcome to Wagons of Steel. It's a party and everyone's invited. In this video, I'm going to talk about our trip to Medford where we won our only Wally so far. Well, there will be more. But here he is. He's at my Dr. Big Block's shop right now because we have to share him. He needs company. He looks pretty lonely. 2009. Jeez. 12 years ago. It's an interesting story. Here's the photo. Here's a better angle of it. You know, you could tell I'm a carburetor guy. I'm so high tech. It's that's the final round down at Medford. You kind of get the idea. It was so smoky down there. And there is right there. There's Dr. Big Block. Tom Gaynor was certainly a worthy competitor. We were both running C stock. So now, not only did I win a Wally, I won my first heads-up race. So I was running C stock as well at the time. And you can see he's leaving and I'm not. He turned the red light on by 1/1000th of a second. And that's all it takes. It's a great race. Tom's a great guy. He's still racing. He switched over to super stock. That car he was in is now in the Casey Pleasure had it for a while and then he sold it. So now it's gone down to Division 7 in California. Good riddance. I don't need any more C stockers up here. 2009 was, I guess it's our most ambitious year yet for Stock Eliminator drag racing. My first year was 2005 and then you know, it's been 16 years. That a lot of stuff blends together, so I couldn't give you the exact timeline. Something happened. I had to rebuild like in 2006, 2007. Anyways, I inherited a bunch of money, and I decided to blow it all on a real deal Stock Eliminator points chase for 2009. So that year we got everything all put together, brand new slicks, had our enclosed trailer. I told you the story about going down to Pomona and we were towing with our terrifying combination, the 3/4 ton Suburban. And so we started off the year with Pomona and then we went from Pomona to Phoenix and raced a divisional and the national at Phoenix, and then we did divisionals also at Medford and Mission and Boise, Idaho, and Woodburn, Oregon, and Seattle. We did Northwest Nationals, of course. We also did the Seattle divisional points race. And I think I did the double, what do they call that? The National Open race at Bremerton Raceway. So we did a lot of racing that year. And still, honestly, didn't do that great. The driver was kind of shitty that year. I mean, I guess I did okay. I mean, I remember going a few rounds at Phoenix and I wasn't getting close enough to the money rounds, and it was a good time. I mean, my whole crew was with us, and we had a lot of fun, but it wasn't really like a winning deal. And then got to the end of the year and was just kind of settling, and thought it might be over. And then I don't know why it wasn't on the plan, but I saw that there's a divisional in Medford, Oregon, and Medford, Oregon is they don't do NHRA racing there anymore for some reason, but it's Southern Oregon, so it's not that far away. I mean, it's a haul, but it's not that far. And my friend Jeff Swartz and his then wife, I don't think they're married anymore. They live like right around the corner from the track, and so we packed up and went down there. We left on, I was talking to Mike about this. We're trying to figure out what the schedule was. It was a divisional race, and for some reason the racing was on, the eliminations were on Saturday, and qualifying was on Friday, and Thursday they always have a test in June. And we went down on Thursday and we left after work, so basically we were driving late into the night, as is our fashion when we go to Medford for some reason. And we showed up late at Medford, and the next morning we fired up the rig and went from Jeff's place to the track and established our pit area and turned the car on. You know, with a race car like mine, it's got a big electric fuel pump, and fuel just came gushing out of the carburetors for some reason. It was a needle and seat issue, and so I took the crew to the supermarket and left Mike with the car, my crew chief, because anybody who knows him knows he really doesn't like an audience when he's working on stuff like that. And so we went off and we bought food for the track, and when we came back, the car was running like a top. And so then I can't remember exactly where we qualified that day. I think we qualified okay. Usually where we qualified back then was right in the middle of the pack. And if you qualify in the middle of the pack, if you qualify at just above the halfway mark, you're going to be matched up against the people who qualify at the very bottom of the pack. And that includes either, at the time, the Lang brothers, now just Jody Lang, who always like to qualify at the bottom of the pack and then see what happens, because like I explained in an earlier video, you can move up the qualifying sheet, but you can't move down. And the Wily guys, they qualify at the bottom of the sheet, and then if they want to, they move up. At the time, I just wanted to put the big pedal all the way down and see how fast the car would go, which is another way to roll it. And we were lucky at the time, so it would put us at the bottom of the qualifying sheet. And you like to start a race off by, I do anyways, but running against somebody whose car isn't running well, or maybe can't qualify or whatever, and gives you a shot at getting past the first round, which is always the hardest part. Once you get past the first round, everything gets easier for some reason. I don't know why. And so we qualified, and the car ran well. There were some other things going on. I think we figured at that time, a friend of ours had another car that he just finished for running in Stock Eliminator. It was a Ford 302 Maverick, and we brought that down with us. Another friend, he talked another friend of ours into running that car, and that was, I don't know, that was kind of a mistake, because that car wasn't quite ready, and it was a pain in the butt. That's all there is to it. Sorry. So that was kind of a side light. It had like the original stock gas tank in it, and it was full of super unleaded, which is not legal for competition. So we had to get it all out of there, but it didn't have an electric fuel pump, so getting all the fuel drained out of there, I mean, it was so frustrating. You just wanted to pound a hole in the gas tank by the end of it. And eventually those guys, the tech guys, just took pity on us, because they realized that car was barely going to run the index anyways. So I remember in qualifying, I cut a perfect light in qualifying, which is pretty cool. I still have that sticker. And the car was running good. I love Medford. It's a shame there's no more racing there. It's one of those tracks where you go through the quarter mile, past the finish line, and then it goes whoosh, and goes up a hill, like runs up the side of a mountain. And so you really don't even need the brakes. You could, qualifying, when I didn't have to put the brakes on for competition purposes, it would just you just let off at the end and roll up, and as soon as your car comes to slow enough and you have a turn off, you just flip around and turn the engine off and coast all the way down the hill to the scales and the fuel check, and it was pretty neat that way. And as I mentioned before, it was really smoky. Well, it was really smoky because there were huge, raging wildfires at the time. So, you know, the sunsets were hot pink and bright orange, and the sun was this big ball that you could look straight into, setting below the horizon. And same thing, sunrise, and people who had breathing issues, it was terrible for them, but I don't. It was okay. It was before we quit drinking, so we were power drinking. I mean, not during competition, and I'm pretty good. Even back then, like I don't want to let it get in my way. I used to, and eventually that's probably one of the main reasons I quit drinking, was because it was interfering with my drag racing. But anyways, it was a party. We were having a lot of fun, and Jeff's wife Wasana is she's a trained Thai chef, and when we went down there, she would have done this for us anyways, but we pitched her $100 or maybe $200, and she served us up some fantastic food for that racing. Okay, so what happened next? We qualified in the middle of the pack, and I can't remember who we lined up against for the first round, but it was easy to get past that. You know who it was in the first round? I think it might have been Tommy Gaynor for some reason. What would he have been doing at the bottom of the... What would he have even been racing? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Forget it. It doesn't matter. I got past the first round, and then second round, I think it was, I drew an old friend of mine, Dave Kuhnhoff, who I haven't seen in a long time. And he ran a really beautiful 67 Dodge Coronet 440 car, and I think it was a D-Stalker. And he's, we pitch each other shit, and we were having fun. And he drew a target on my window, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass," blah 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 blah. And he didn't know, don't poke the bear. Like, I take this stuff seriously, and I put a 006 light on it and ran my number with. Actually, my light was so much better than his. I just put the brakes on and was waiting for him at the finish line. So he was kind of goofy about that. He's like, "Oh, I know better next time." And then I got the Sorensen brothers, who were the last year's champion, the 2008 champions at the time, and beat them. And then I think I can't. It was, it was coming along. It was like, I mean, it's funny how when you're going to win a race, or when you're going to the final round, it's kind of. I don't know, if you've done it, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, when it's your day, and you got to show up for your day. And there I was, and everything got calmer and calmer, and the car was just flawless, and it just felt like I was one with the car, and I could do whatever I wanted to do. And I went to what happened? Oh, I guess I can't remember who I took out after the Sorensen brothers. But then it was the end of the day, and it was me in the final against Tom Gaynor, who, like I said earlier, was in another C car. And we had time because the track was down for some reason. There's like some kind of accident, or they were track cleanup. So we had time. And when you're in a heads-up race against somebody, you want to make your car as fast as possible, because there's no dial-in. It's just the lights turn green and both cars leave, and whoever gets to the finish line first wins. So you want to cut a good light, and you want to make your car as fast as possible. And so we did all the tricks we could think of. Our car isn't that fast, so we're not real hip to making our car as fast as possible. I mean, it's always as fast as possible, but we're not rich guys. They have what they call bracket mode, where your car is consistent, and you can cut a light in it, and it's reliable, and that's what you typically race in, which is like bracket racing. And then if you have a heads up, then you have heads up mode. So you do all the things like typically guys who are rich and have really fast cars, they carry extra weight. So when they want to go faster, they take weight out of the trunk, and maybe they'll have like a set of carburetors that are faster than the carburetor that they normally run. You can adjust the timing. If you got a later model car, you can play with the computer. For us, since our car is like one step beyond the Flintstones, what we can do is cool the fuel off, because the colder the gas is, the faster your car will go. It has something to do with how it vaporizes. So we had a big keg bucket and full of ice, and we had our fuel can sitting in there. And then the other thing you can do is run cold water through the radiator, so through the cooling system. So we drained all the water out of our cooling system, and kept pouring ice water into it, and running the electric water pump so that the engine got super cold, which is another thing you want to have happen. Some kinds of cars you throw ice bags onto the intake manifold, but we have learned that doesn't work with the cross ram intake manifold on this car. The cross ram is a very weird, obsolete type of induction system, and it just doesn't respond to that. So anyways, then the car was all cold and ready to go, and all these friends helped us out. It was really cool the way that worked out. Like everybody else who was eliminated, which was basically everyone else except Tom, and he would have helped us out if he had been eliminated. Well, that's one of the things I love about drag racing, is we're all in it together, and no one's your enemy until they're in the other lane. In general, I mean, there's all kinds of rivalries, and humans are humans, but we pushed the car from the pit all the way to the starting line, or to the burn-off box, and right before we went in, we took our ice-cold gas and filled up the gas tank with that. It was down at empty, and then pulled in and did the burn-off, and then pulled out of the burn-off, and here's something I remember. I just about gave Mike a heart attack. Pulled out of the burn-off box, and the car died. And what had happened was, I had forgotten to turn the fuel pump back on. It had been off because we'd been messing around with the fuel, and turn the fuel on, turn the fuel off. In general, I depending on how the wiring is set up in the car, I just have the fuel thing is tied into the main power. So you turn the car on, the fuel's not automatically on unless you turn it off. And so I remembered that and turned it on, and fired the car right back up again. Whew. And then Tom did his burn off, and we both pull up, and I'll show you I've got another picture too. We pulled in, and then he got a red light. He pulled 001 red, which is 1,000th. I mean, just heartbreaking. He probably still remembers that. But then Mike was doing the happy dance, and I'll never forget that feeling. It ranks a distant third behind my children being born. Was knowing that I'd won a Wally at a divisional level was just unbelievable. I mean, I can't wait for the day that I win the Northwest Nationals or some other national event, and then I'll let you know if that's better. But this was the first one, and like I said earlier, it's like when it's your day, and you kind of have a feeling it's coming. And it's like it was just like a zen, and got to the, went past the basically he'd already lost at the starting line, so all I had to do was tool down the road and go to a turnoff and head back down the hill and onto the scale, and they all loved me at the track, and they were all the tech guys were celebrating with me there, and it was a big party, and the party just went on and on and on, and then the next day. What happened? What happened was, after I passed tech again. They had to weigh the car and make sure my fuel was legal, and then I went down to stop. Did I stop at my? No, I went all the way down to the starting line area again, and they check your contingency decals. Like they have. Here's your contingency decals. Here's some here. That's my friend, but then there's K&N, that they pay, and then Total Seal they pay, And so they basically they have this sheet of where they look and they see, are you actually running these things? And the tech inspector comes by and they check stuff off a clipboard. And you know, they've changed that, but so there isn't as much contingency stuff as there used to be. But there was a lot back then, and so they checked them all off on their little clipboard. And then they handed me this big check, like $1,200 or something like that. I was not expecting that. You know, I'm in this for love, man. I'm not in it for money. There aren't too many people who are in it for money. And I'll tell you, the ones who get it, you get the money before you even get to the racetrack these days. But anyways, I get this big check, and then they have me wheel my car up to the starting line and bring down my crew and a bunch of people all take pictures. And I don't have any of those pictures anymore, or sometimes they show up when I'm not looking for them. I couldn't find any of them, but then we all get our pictures taken, and then it was a big party after that. Then went back to Jeff's place and had dinner. I got up the next morning and went back out to the track, and it looked like an explosion at a frat party or something. And we cleaned up our big mess and loaded up the car and headed back north. And you know, we had the Wally parked between us, and my friend Kelly Thomas has always told me, you know, when you win a Wally, you know, you want to carry it with you, and when you go into McDonald's, bring it in with you and stick it on the counter when you order your Big Mac. And so we did that, and we had a lot of fun with that. And then came back, and you know, my life has been, I'm just blessed. Every day I just can't believe how lucky I am. And this Wally that I'd won, the $1,200, I came back and I really needed $1,200. And there it was. And then it was going right into the winter time, and you know, being a t-shirt guy, I don't have a whole lot of, you know, business in the winter time, and I always gotta, you know, sell car parts or, you know, muddle my way through. And especially back then. Now I've got my act kind of more together. But anyways, that contingency stuff was like, I had like 15 or 16 contingency stickers on the car that all paid $400 a piece. And so, you know, as starting after like maybe a couple of weeks, I would go out to the mailbox and there'd be another $400 check, and it was really great. It got me all the way through the wintertime. It was a great thing, and now I really would like to do that again, even though they don't really pay contingency money anymore. And I don't know, I need another Wally to keep that first guy company. So here's the last picture. The rats like it. You can see they ate the corner off, those bastards. There's Tom in the other lane. And there I am holding. And you can see the tires aren't even wrinkled. I was just waiting. And because, you know, I hate red lights. I mean, I hate slow lights too, but that was the day. Hopefully we'll see out there again next year when more Wallies, or at least show up. It's it seems like maybe this horrible COVID, terrible economy, whatever, whatchamacallit, will be over, and we'll all be drag racing again soon. Okay, well, that's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed the story of Medford. If you think of anything else you want to hear from me, let me know, and I'll think of something else exciting to show you next week. Take care. Happy New Year.